What's going on, people? And welcome back to Total Osprey for our weekly roundup. Before we get started, guys, hope you're all doing well. Happy preseason start. And as always, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit up the notification button for all future content. And let me see those comments, people. So we're going to take our time. People are probably going to start flowing in. Not too sure. But we're here today to talk about preseason. So before we get started, guys, if you're in the comments, let me know how you are. I'll give people some time to roll in. And yeah. So basically, we've arrived in Australia today. The team has been announced. I'll go through the team in a short while. Want to give a big shout out to Perchy from Perchy TV. He did a 24-hour charity stream. I did a post about it a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, due to work commitments and the time zones and the amount of people that were on, was a bit hard for myself or Delane to get on. Australia's time's pretty bad. But what do we do? But make sure you are going over there. And he reached his goal of £3,000, which is great. But make sure you go over there and watch his streams whenever he's live, because he puts out some good quality content for you people. It's hard doing this, especially when you work a full-time job like myself and Delane. Us, coming home from work, trying to get content out. It's a bit hard. But yeah, so as I was saying before, we arrived in Australia. Our first game is against West Ham, which is Tuesday night here in Australia. It'll be Tuesday during the day back in England. And we will be doing a live watch-along, which will be the first watch-along of the 23-24 season. I'm a bit excited because it's actually on TV here, so it'll be a lot easier for us to view it. But hopefully you guys overseas can get onto it. If not, we'll try and be as descriptive as possible, as we always are with our live watch-alongs. But people are slowly cutting into it, so I'll pop it up. We have this is our pre-season squad. Now, there's a lot of names there that shouldn't be there. There's a couple of names that aren't there that should be there. But I'll slowly go through them, guys. We have, I can't even say, Guglielmo Vicario, Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman, and Josh Keeley as our goalkeepers. We have Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, Pedro Porro, Sergio Reguilon, Joe Roden, Christian Romero, Davison Sanchez, Jed Spence, Jaffet Tanganga, and Destiny Adoji in our defenders. Midfielders, we have Yves Bissouma, Alfie Devine, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Giovanni Lo Celso, James Maddison, Tanguy Ndombele, Papa Matar, Oliver Skipp, and Harvey White is our midfield. And our forwards are Dejan Kulusevski, Ivan Perisic, Richarlison, Manuel Solomon, Harry Kane, and Dane Scarlett. So, look, there's a couple of names that aren't there. Forster's not there as he is injured. Same with Sessegnon. Lloris has been left back in England to find other options as he is pretty much out of the door. But there's names there that shouldn't be there for me. Eric Dyer, Rodon, Sanchez. They're the three that should be going from our defence first. Sanchez is looking at going to Galatasaray, so I don't understand why we chose to take him and allowed Lloris to look for other options. Then you have the likes of in the midfield. Not everyone's going, and Ndombele and Lo Celso look like they're going to be fighting for their position or trying to impress Ange, and up front, I think there's no one there that's really missing. Troy Parrott has an injury as well. I honestly don't think he's going to be a Tottenham player much longer. If I'm honest, my honest opinion, but we'll see how it is. But yeah, it is what it is. Josh, welcome, mate. I might do, because I think it's only me tonight. So just let me know in about 5-10 minutes if you want to jump on, and if you got StreamYard, we'll make that happen. So looking at this squad, right, this squad is probably good enough to win our 4 preseason games. So if you look down below, we do have Leicester City, Lions City, and West Ham in the Asia region. And for me, it's got to be 3 wins, right? Yeah, mate, I'll get you on soon. Just let people roll in, and then we'll get into it. And then obviously we get a bit of a break, a 10-day break, and then we have Shakhtar and Barcelona as our last 2. And I'm going to be honest, our preseason's fairly weak compared to other teams that we're trying to emulate. I know the fact that Arsenal and United, I think both are going to America. Obviously, both American owned, so it makes sense. But United have got Barcelona. They're playing as well. And I don't know too much about the other teams in and around us, but honestly, I think it's kind of weak, a weak preseason. I don't think, I know we'd Roma pulled out and Shakhtar. Lyon City has taken over as their spot. I know Roma pulled out, but honestly, it's a poor, and we always seem to have poor opponents for preseason, and that kind of emulates how the season's going to go for me. I don't know why we couldn't replace Lion City. I know we're looking at more of a commercial preseason. I think we use these preseasons as like a business trip to try and get more followers. We went to South Korea last season. In that region for Sun back again. Like I'm not upset they've come out to Australia, but it'd be nice if we had some big teams come out and they all came in and played each other. The likes of Arsenal, United, Newcastle, even some of the bigger teams, or even some big teams from PSG. I feel like we need to start testing our squad, especially preseason, because apart from the West Ham game and maybe the Barcelona game and maybe Shakhtar, I can't say we're that good. It's not going to be much of a challenge. Leicester City have just gone down. We've stolen their best player already. Looks like their second best player in Barnes is going to go. And they're in the Championship. So, maybe this was organised before Leicester got relegated, but for me, it's not good enough in terms of the calibre of team that we should be playing, and that's just the honest truth. We really should be playing better quality teams. We should be playing teams that we want to compete with. There has been some breaking news before we get fully into the pre-season. Apparently, we're targeting Anderson from Crystal Palace as a centre-back, possible centre-back. And it's funny because I was calling for this guy last season. I was calling for this guy to be in our defence. I feel like he's a good old-school centre-back, tall, strong, plays Premier League for a fair few seasons now. Should have been at one of the top 6 clubs. Probably been Crystal Palace's best player apart from Wilfred Zaha over the last 3 seasons. And, he's really, really good. And for me, if you're going to pair him with Romero, you have him. I think this is on the back of the likelihood that Van der Ven will be poached by Liverpool, which is another Spursy move. As always, we seem to never, ever get the players that we actually really want. Which is kind of a bit of a disappointment, but kind of the same thing that we always seem to do anyway. We don't really seem to do anything majorly in the off season. We seem to always get a little bit, and then that's it. We don't seem to go the full way. So, Sorry, guys, just having a quick look at Twitter to see if there's anything going on. But yeah, so that's our preseason squad. As I said before, that there's a few people that I wish wasn't there, but there's also a few people that I wish. Van der Ven, Tapsoba. I really wish we even Tosin, someone, a centre back. We clearly have a lot of defenders, but we've got Davies not good enough, Dyer not good enough. Porro's probably going to play further up the pitch for me. I reckon. I don't think he'll play right back. I don't think he's good enough as a defender. Reguilon on the left, Rodon should be gone. Romero will be our starting centre back on the right hand side. Royal will be our right back. Sanchez is probably on his way back. Spencer probably be the backup. Jaffa probably will be a backup centre back, or he'll be gone, and Adoji will be the left hand side. MVR, how are you, brother? Welcome back as always. And don't worry, all good, brother. Just thanks for saying hello. And look, it is sad that Lloris is leaving after so long. However, I feel like it was time to go anyway. Lloris hasn't been the Lloris of old in the last, 2 to 3 seasons. He really has fallen off from his shot stopping. And with the way the modern football is moving and goalkeepers are required to play out from the back a bit more, he was always going to be found out. If he was still in a team or in an era where hoofing the ball up and relying on your centre forward and to bring the ball down and then move the ball through transition, or relying on your centre backs to move the ball forward, then I think even then, like, our centre backs are horrible. So it's not all entirely Lloris's fault, but it is sad to see him go. I'm glad that we've given him the opportunity to find the best suit for him. But it's inevitable, really. Would have been nice to maybe had a higher profile player like Raya to take over, but I'm not putting the jury out on Vicario. I feel like Vicario will be a good asset, and I hope he goes well. Like, for me, I don't want any player to fail, regardless of how big or little their transfer was, or how hyped up and how quite stagnant their buying was, their purchase. So, look, let's hope. Let's probably get into the first game. So we got West Ham on Tuesday. They've just won a trophy. Seems to be that we're the only club that doesn't want to win a trophy, and they won a European trophy for that matter. And they will be playing Europa League this season, even though they were 15th in the league. And that's the problem, is we have we have this standing where we're meant to be a top 4 club, or top 6 club, I should say, and we don't act like it. We don't win enough, and it's going to be a tough game. Even though they've lost their best player in Rice, they're still going to come out. I think they've been out here a bit longer than we have, as we only arrived this morning here in Australia. I'm pretty sure it's this morning. And they've already played 2 preseason games, or they will by the time they play us. I'm pretty sure they're playing tonight against Perth Glory. Let me double check. Double check. They won 6-2. When was that? Yesterday. So last night they beat West Ham 6-2. And I mean, that's inevitable that they were going to do that. The A-League out here in Australia is not good. It's fairly weak, actually. You always get the runoffs of other leagues out here. But they are starting to slowly grow it. I mean, Australia as a country aren't that great when it comes to football. First of all, they call it soccer, and it kills me. But it's an everyday word I have to hear because I live out here, being English and all. But it's West Ham are warmed up now. They've had 2 games to get settled. They probably already knew Rice was gone, so they're going to have the likes of Souček in that middle, ensuring that that they're going to have the best they can. And we've got to be careful. Still got the likes of Bowen. Jacob Ramsey is a good little player for him. And they know what it's like to play against us. They played against us last season. So I mean, we can't take this game lightly. And that's what I want for preseason. Preseasons used to be just a bit of fun. You let your players go out and gain confidence. And I don't mind us smashing teams, gaining confidence. But I think we're at a stage in our squad where we need to start developing proper mindsets. Our squad's going to go have a big overhaul. I think Andrew will get a lot of people out, and he will get a lot of people in over his tenure, whether Levy gives him the opportunity to. But I just looking at this squad now, this does not look good in defence. We've got a lot of players there. How many centre backs do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say 6 defenders. One of them's good enough for a top 6 team. I know Tanganga's young. I know he's Tottenham, but for me, he's not. He's not the guy. Sanchez on his way out. Rodon should be gone. Dyer should be gone. Davies should be gone. We're more likely to keep Dyer than the others, purely because of his new documentary that came out. And what a piece of shit that was. I haven't watched all of it, but I mean, as a person, like I always say, Dyer seems like a great bloke. Seems like a guy that you can really rely on outside of football. But in football, he's a poor defender. Probably a much better centre defensive because he does like to play on the ball more. But I don't know why he's in this squad. And I'm not going to badger on about Dyer because everyone seems to be talking about it. I'm not going to badger on about Harry Kane because every channel, every Twitter is talking about Harry Kane. I want him to stay. I want him to be a Spurs legend. I want him to win us a trophy. I want all of that. I want him to stay until he cannot play football no more. But mate, he's got to do what he's got to do. But I want to kind of touch on Richarlison because no one is really talking about Richie. And I feel like his relationship with Conte last season, regardless of what they come out and say, the fact that he spoke out about Conte, for me, shows the true relationship that he had. I do think Richie would suit Ange's system a bit more, depending on how Ange plays. But how Ange usually plays with the attacking, counter-attacking, I do feel like Richie would be better suited to the system, or there'll be less adjustment for Richie than it will be for Kane. But I want to see how he goes this season. I feel like he's a player that needs to be let off his leash. He's a player that needs to be a fox in the box. He needs to be playing in and around that striker role. Cannot be playing out wide. He does nothing out wide for me. He just chases like a hound dog, and that's it. But he doesn't get into those positions that he was getting to for Everton. He didn't have a really high scoring seasons at Everton. Would roughly get about 15 goals, and for me, 15 goals added on to what we would have had like on last season could have put us in the top 6 at least. And I feel like this is his season to kind of stamp his position because I did say I'm going to talk about it, but if Kane does go, Richie will be the main man for me. We'll either utilise Dane Scarlett as a backup, which I don't know if he's ready yet. But you know what? If they're good enough, they're old enough, as they always say. But if Kane goes, Richie will be the man. And I think he can do it. I think the way that we play may benefit him more. However, I do want to see more from him when he comes on. I want to see Ange bringing him on at 60th minute when we need a goal. Even if it means we sacrifice Kane. Kane can't always play every game if he stays. You can't always play every minute. Sometimes a game, there were some times last season where I sat down and thought, fuck, Kane. Like, I know, look, let's get it right. Kane saved their ass last season. If Haaland wasn't in the league, people would be talking about Kane non-stop. They'd be saying how great he is, 30-plus goals again in a poor Tottenham team, blah, blah, blah. But there's got to be times when he needs to be rested, needs to be dropped, and that's where Richie needs to utilise those opportunities. I want to see the ruthlessness that Ange has a reputation for, and the likes of Kulu, the likes of Son can be dropped. We have Perisic. I think Perisic will play in that left wing role this season. That's why I've put him in the forwards. And I think Son will have to watch it because Perisic is a much better natural winger. Son's more of an inside forward for me. I feel like he's really, really good running in between the winger and the striker. But last season, the way we played, I think Perisic kind of overcrowded his wing because he was used to playing on that side by himself for the past couple of years. And I think, Son we're having competition with Perisic, and Perisic will have a much better season just playing as a winger. And then Solomon, who does predominantly play on the left, but can play in the middle and probably play on that right-hand side. And we'll add Porro might be able to as well, can put pressure on Kulu to perform. And that's the problem that we've always had is there's these star players that don't have any pressure. Harry Kane always performs, even though he has no pressure, because he knows he's the main man. But it'd be nice if you could perform out of this world and Richarlison performing great as well, because that'd be great for the team. And then midfield. Our midfield is looks okay. For me, it'd be nice to have Divine get a few minutes behind Maddison, but it looks like we might be keeping either one of Lo Celso or Ndombele, and I'm not against that idea. I don't think Ndombele and Lo Celso are good enough. Let's just get that right. I think Ndombele is lazy, and Lo Celso I don't think he wants to play football in England. I think when he goes to Argentina or in Spain, the guy plays well. He's got talent. I just don't know if he wants to do it for Tottenham. But for me, if Ange can get them playing and wants them in the team, then we keep them. And one of them will probably be the rotational player with Maddison, because I do think Maddison's going to play in the hole. I don't think we're going to play a flat three like Ange usually plays. I think he's going to leave all that running up to Bentancur and Bissouma, Sarr and Skip. It's nice to see Harvey White in there. Don't know if he's going to ever be good enough. Looks decent. Went to Derby last season. Had a fair couple of games. Played striker for them at one stage, I think, or in the centre forwards role. So must have a bit of confidence from the coach there. But it's nice to see him in and around the squad. That's what I want to see. I hope he gets some game time, especially against the bigger teams like West Ham, like Shakhtar and Leicester and Barcelona. Obviously, Barcelona is the biggest out of all of them, but our midfield I think is okay. I do think we need a defensive midfielder if we're going to play one in the hole. Bissouma, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skip, Sarr. I don't think they're centre defence. They're not a Rodrigo. They're not someone that's going to sit there and protect the back four with smart tackles, very well timed tackles, and then feed the ball going forward. They're workhorses, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think the defensive quality is there for the team, to be honest. So it'd be nice if we had a bit more going forward or in the midfield at least. And defense, we've touched on defense many, many times. So I'll skip that because everyone seems to be talking about defense, and sometimes you just want to hear a bit different to the goalkeeping situation. Now, I don't know about Josh Keeley. I know Alfie Whiteman's been on loan last season, and Brandon Austin was our third choice. He probably, one of those two will probably be our third choice this season. Fraser Forster will probably be our backup or our starter, to be honest. It depends how Vicario goes for me in this preseason. I want to see him against West Ham for at least 60 minutes. I want to see him against Leicester. I want to see him against Shakhtar, and I want to see him against Barcelona. And the other goalkeeper I want to see is Brandon Austin. I'm hearing from people that I know back in England that Austin is a better talent than Whiteman. However, Whiteman does have a fair bit of loan experience, and he's a bit older. And goalkeepers tend to not be. They hit their form in their 30s, like early 30s. They're like between 28 and 32. Like they seem to really hit their stride as they get a bit older, a bit more mature. Look at Ramsdale for Arsenal. I think he was with two relegated teams before he became their permanent goalkeeper, and he's 25. He was 24 last season, so I think Whiteman's starting to hit that age. Brandon Austin, I think, is 21. I'll just have a quick look. Alfie Whiteman is 24, and then Brandon Austin He is 24 as well, so they're both the same age. So this is the season I think is make or break for those two players. I think Brendan Austin probably will be the guy that that probably will tip Whiteman for the backup third choice goalkeeper. But Josh Keeley, 20-year-old, he is Irish. He is from our under 21s, and he came from St. Pat's last season, free transfer. Not many stats about him. He played, he considered 31 goals in 19 appearances, and only had 1 0-0 game, so not many clean sheets. But he has played in the UEFA. He's played 25 games, conceded 38 goals, and had 3 0-0 games. You can't in the Irish League. Detailed. Let's see if we've got any clean sheets. I don't think he did. So, look, don't know much about him. Hoping to see a bit of him. To be honest, it's always nice to see the youth players in and around the squad. He must have shown a bit of talent because he's going on the preseason. We could have went with 3 goalkeepers. There's no need to go for 4, especially considering we only have 6 or 5 games. 5 games, so they're not all gonna play a full amount. But it'd be nice to see. I wouldn't mind seeing him against Lion City. Start him against Lion City, then chuck in whoever's on the whoever's below the pecking order between Alfie, Whiteman, and Austin. But I think like Vicaria needs to start against. At least start against West Ham, Barcelona, and Shakhtar, and then I'd like to see Austin start against Leicester and maybe come in during those other games because I think he's the third choice because Whiteman was loaned out last season. So the squad's looking okay for now, but we need massive improvement. We need defenders. I do think we need a defensive midfielder if we're going to go for Maddison in the hole. But the next couple of preseason games will tell us how we're going to play. I'm excited, to be honest. I think it's going to be a new era. It's going to be a new style of play. And I'm excited to see what Ange can do. Josh, I did say that I'd get you one, but considering the time, and I think I got an early start, this is going to be a shorter one, so I might do just a half hour. Might jump off soon. But we will start bringing on fans onto these Sunday lives. The boys couldn't get on tonight, unfortunately. Otherwise, it would have went a bit longer, so we could have a bit more of a discussion. But yeah, please, guys, if you are watching this on playback, or you jump in to watch it on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel, and go into the comments and let me know how you feel about our preseason squad. Let me know how you feel about our situation with defenders and the amount of players we're taking that seem to be surplus for requirements. The likes of Sanchez, who's coming along and seems to be in a possible transfer to Turkey. So, and let me know if you hear any more news. Like I did say, Anderson, it looks like we're being looked at from Crystal Palace. I wouldn't mind Anderson. I think he's a great centre back. Played in the Premier League for a fair few years now. Smart, good in the air. And he leads that line for Crystal Palace. He's their best defender. I think he would be a great buy for us. However, I don't know if they let us get him on the cheap, considering it's a London rival and a Premier League rival. And before I end it, I didn't say I was going to talk about Kane, but there is something that came out about the Bayern Munich. I don't know, one of the higher ups over there, can't remember his name off the top of my head, came out and said that apparently Harry Kane has given them a verbal agreement that he will be going to Bayern, irrespective of what happens. And all I'm going to say on this is if Kane wants to go, spend the money, Bayern. And this is tapping up. I'm just going to say it. UEFA need to be looking into this. They've had multiple accounts saying that Tuchel has been at Kane's house, and then their own directors are coming out and saying, "Oh, we've already had an agreement with Kane before they've even spoken to the club." However, this might not be true. They might have actually spoken to the club, because we do know that representatives spoke to Levy. a day or two ago, probably a couple of days now, considering the time I'm doing this video. And they could have given him the go-ahead to talk to him. So, I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster. I do feel like the Kane saga will not end. Even if he doesn't go in the summer, I do feel like it's going to be the next 6 months is going to be where the fuck is Kane going. And I'm to be honest, I'm over hearing about it already. I feel like as a fan base, not one player is bigger than the club, no matter how good or how great they are. And Harry Kane is Tottenham through and through. But, I mean, we've seen some great players come and go. Gaza, Klinsmann, Ginola, Bale, even superstars in the making like Carrick, Walker, Modric, Van der Vaart, Ericsson. We've had some great players come and go. And I know this hurts even more because it is one of our own and he is Tottenham. And he has carried us through the years. But what Ange has said in his first press conference, and I love it because this is what I wanted to hear, is that whether we have Kane or not, the team will be going forward and the team will be playing the football that he wants to play. And it's not reliant on Kane. And that's how every team should be. We should not be relying on one player. It's just great that we have him. I hope he stays. I hope he signs a new contract and stays for the rest of his career. But if he does go, Levy, the one thing you can do is milk the fuck out of Bayern Munich. They deserve it. They've been tapping him up. They've been, they went out and whinged about Barcelona, saying stuff about their players, and then now they're doing it. So, for me, get that paper from him and spend it on the squad. That's if Levy does. But anyway, guys, I'm going to head off. We'll be catching us during the week. We'll let you know and when our next live is, and some videos will be coming out. And our live watch along on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing our first live, so make sure you're there, guys. And make sure you have a good week. And as always, stay Spursy.